Hurricane Zeta slamming the Gulf Coast. The storm's ferocious winds, as you hear there, tearing this trailer apart, blowing it across the road.
The storm first striking parts of Louisiana and Mississippi as a Category 2 hurricane. Powerful winds with speeds up to 110 miles per hour, sending objects flying and knocking out power to at least 700,000 people across Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama.
The strong gusts also whipping up powerful waves along several coastal communities. Officials say that Zeta is being blamed now for at least 2 deaths.
Biloxi police confirming 1 death, possibly by drowning. And in New Orleans, police say a 55-year-old man electrocuted by a downed power line.
Good morning, everyone. This morning on Fox 10 News, we're beginning to see more of the devastation along the Gulf Coast from what was Hurricane Zeta.
We are continuing to bring you team coverage of the aftermath of the storm. Meteorologist Michael White is in the Storm Tracker Center, bringing us the latest with Zeta. And meteorologist Matt Barentine, along with reporters Hal Shurik and Ashlyn Irons, are checking out the damage across our area.
And we're going to start first in studio with meteorologist Michael White. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Eric and Sarah. Well, Zeta now finally a distant memory, but we're going to be haunted by that image for a while because of the hurricane force winds that whipped through the area last night, especially if you lived west of Interstate 65, closer to that center. It made landfall in southeast Louisiana. It ripped over the New Orleans metro and then just moved in a northeastward path all the way to North Georgia, and will be back in the Atlantic Basin by later today. For now, things are calm. A little drizzle out there with southwest winds, but a cold front is knocking on our doorstep, and that's going to send the temperatures down and the humidity down for today. Right now, we've got mid to upper 70s on the Gulf Coast. It's balmy, it's mild, but you look at Hattiesburg, their temperature started off at 73 when we came on the air at 4:30. They're down to 67. Jackson, Mississippi now sitting in the mid 50s, and we could even be in the upper 40s by daybreak tomorrow. So if you're a fan of that cool late October air, it finally comes back. We're going to have very pleasant weather through the Halloween weekend. Here's where we're going to be in the short term. Our sunrise time 7:06. Temperatures go in the opposite direction this morning. They go all the way down to the upper 60s by the time we get to 9 a.m. At that point, we'll gradually start to see some clearing in our sky, and this afternoon will end up sunny. We're going to go through all of the details on that hour by hour with our Fox 10 Futurecast, and we're also going to be talking much more about what lies ahead for next week and beyond. We'll cover that in your forecast later in the hour. Eric?
Thanks, Michael. Our time now 6:03, and we're going to head outside now to see what the damage our crews are finding now that Zeta has rolled through. We're going to check in first this morning with meteorologist Matt Barentine. Good morning, Matt, and where are you exactly now in northern Mobile County, and what are you seeing in terms of the damage so far?
Yeah, Eric, I'm in Citronelle. Actually, we just left the house where a tree fell on the house, and a gentleman had to be transported to the hospital because of that. So now we're kind of just driving around Citronelle proper here, and you can see, I mean, there are trees down everywhere here, and you can see this one that we're coming up to. This is obviously the big issue here is all these trees down this morning. They've taken out a lot of the power lines. Obviously, there's no power here. These trees are down and blocking many of the roads. The emergency crews have been out here cleaning up already, trying to get some of these roadways cleared. Most of the roadways are down to about 1 lane because of all the trees down. On the way up here on Highway 45, we did come across a car that had skidded off the road and into the trees there. It had been abandoned, so we don't know if anybody was injured there or not, but it was in the trees. So a lot of issues. Folks really need to stay off the roads up here. Just a big mess, like I said, driving around with the trees down here throughout the area. Just coming up to stop. So we're getting back up here towards Citronelle here, and you can see there's, well, let me come over here. This tree was already been cut and cleared. That one was out in the road earlier, and emergency crews have removed that one. So a lot of damage here. Once again, a gentleman was taken to the hospital. No word in his condition, but the home that his home was hit by one of the trees and basically broke the home in half. So a lot of damage up here. This is, of course, once again, the northern part of Mobile County. All of this damage was done by the very strong winds from Hurricane Zeta. In the southern part of the county, that's where we'll find our Hal Shurik. Down there, a lot of the damage was caused by water. Hal, what are you finding down there?
Well, Matt, yeah, the water, as you always hear, the power of the water is tremendous, and we're seeing examples of that down here along Shell Belt Road. We're between BAYOU, BATRE, and Code In, about 1/8 of a mile from where we were a little earlier. And I want to show you, we're between Barrett Lane and Kennedy Road. I want to show you some of the damage we're finding and let you draw your own conclusions about what the water has done. You can see all this riprap, broken guardrails, these huge 6x6 posts and larger snap. And look out here on the roadway approaching this bridge, just covered in giant rocks and riprap that this storm surge and tide pushed up. Mick Ward is working with me this morning behind the camera. He and I are going to walk along and just show you some of this damage as we're approaching the bridge. Take a look at this. You've got this roadway that is completely undermined and falling in. So obviously this stretch of road will have to be closed. If you look just over the guardrail here, you can see these are labeled pieces of plywood, painted pieces of plywood that obviously were made to go across doors and windows. You see one says right upper corner, right lower corner. The other one says door, bottom left. So these may, speculating here, these could have actually come from maybe underneath the house on Dolphin Island or something. But as we walk across this bridge, look at the other side of it. This riprap is just covering the road. So there's no way for some time anybody's going to be able to drive through here. This bridge will have to be checked out thoroughly. And you can see as we approach this side, more damage to that guardrail down there. So this is as far as we've been able to go between Code In, from BAYOU BATRE approaching Code In, and we had to stop right here. But just a very good example of the power of the water. We showed you earlier a fishing camp that 2 buildings had been pushed off of their foundations and moved about 50 yards by what had to be, according to the owner, at least an 8-foot surge in water to reach the bottom of those structures and push them off. So that's what it looks like. And you saw the sprays of water. We're right here alongside the Mississippi Sound near Portersville Bay. So that's what it looks like down here in South Mobile County. So right now we want to send it back to the studio to see how things are looking elsewhere.
Thank you very much. Of course, we understand that Clark County suffered a lot of damage during Hurricane Zeta as well. Thomasville's Mayor Sheldon Day releasing a statement reading in part, quote, "We ask everyone to please stay at home and refrain from traveling until daylight today. We have had some major damage to structures. Many trees are down. Power lines are down. The roofs blown off of buildings downtown as well. And many streets are not passable and will not be until after daylight. It's going to be a long cleanup."
Zeta stirring up the Gulf and making its presence known along our coastline. Our Baldwin County reporter Ashlyn Irons joins us live with an update of some of the damage that she has been seeing this morning. Good morning, Ashlyn. We understand you're in the Fish River area, correct?
Well, that's right, Sarah. And this area, actually, we've been able to find some downed trees, and the new limbs that have fallen are mixing in with the debris left over from Sally. But a lot of South Baldwin County is left without power. But you can definitely see driving on 59 the areas without power and those areas with power. But some of those stoplights are still out as of this morning. But a lot of relief just across Baldwin County this morning, as we haven't seen any substantial damage. But again, we are driving north and south, keeping an eye out for that. But we are also told that Baldwin EMC will have crews heading out any time now. They are having a meeting right here at 6 a.m., but we'll check in with them in a few minutes. But for now, back to you.
All right, Ashlyn, thank you. And we are talking a lot about power outages. We know that thousands of you remain in the dark following Hurricane Zeta. So we are going to get an update now from Mark Ingram, who's with Baldwin EMC. Good morning. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Good morning, Sarah.
Can you tell us how things are looking from your perspective? Where are we in terms of outages?
Absolutely. Well, as of 6 a.m. this morning, we had 26,147 meters out. If you equate that, that's about 33% of our system. And I can kind of give you a breakdown of where those outages are. If we take a look going north of Interstate 10, we've got about 5,800 meters without power. Between Interstate 10 and U.S. Highway 98, going east and west, got over 9,000 meters out. And then, of course, the major outage is in our southern region, south of U.S. Highway 98. We've got 11,307 meters out.
And, you know, we know that your crews have been working around the clock after Sally to get power back on. I know it's dark and you haven't had a chance really to get out and see, but are we thinking that things may be complicated like that again, where it may take some extended time?
It's going to take some time. To what extent, I can't say right now because we haven't been able to do our complete assessment of the damage. And that's what our crews will begin doing this morning, is they'll begin doing their assessment to see what type of damage that we have. Initial reports are saying that we have, again, a lot of trees and power lines. And we mentioned that yesterday, that was one of our major concerns. Another thing that we have is a lot of the debris that was not picked up. It is entangled in the power lines, and we do have some of our main feeders that are leaving the substations down. So later today, once we do our assessment and we begin our restoration process, we'll have a better idea of that restoration time.
And I noticed that there are some, seeing some trucks from other places. Do we have crews in town again to help us?
Absolutely. We're working on that well in advance of this storm, just like any other storm. So we do have crews here that have already been here to station here first. And then we'll have additional crews that will be coming in that we're staging in other areas to let the storm pass through, and then they will be here. So very much like we did with Sally, we will do the same with Zeta. We will begin our restoration process just as quickly as we possibly can, and we're hoping that, especially down in the southern region, only because there's more meters per mile of line, and a lot of those outages will be condominiums in that area. We'll get on a large portion of that most likely in the next day or so, and then the other will be spread out, over a couple of days, hopefully.
All right, Mr. Ingram, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us, and thank you for everything Baldwin EMC does. We know y'all are working around the clock to get the power back on yet again. Feels like we just did this with Sally, so thank you for what y'all do.
Thank you, Sarah.
It is now 6:13, and to update you, if you don't have power, and thousands of you out there do not, here are some of the numbers to go ahead and call. Customers from Alabama Power, Baldwin EMC, or Riviera Utilities can call the numbers you see on your screen to report an outage. We also have these numbers posted for you on our website, fox10tv.com. Again, it is 6:13, and we thank you for joining us here on Fox 10 News on this Thursday morning as we continue our coverage of the aftermath of Hurricane Zeta. We hope you are all safe and sound this morning. Thank you for being with us.